Hello again, part 2, Heroin by Lou Reed. It features on this record, Rock and Roll Animal, which I'm sure you all have, and it's from a concert in New York, which was attended by one Dan Baird of the Georgia Satellites. In an interview a few years later, he said, sitting in the audience, he said to himself, a junior and a marshal, I've got to get that sound. And of course, ironically, years later, we now know that the two guitar players didn't use juniors and marshals exclusively on that record. Now, the two guitar players in question were Steve Hunter, absolute legend, went on to play with Alice Cooper and a load of other people, and Dick Wagner, sadly no longer with us, absolute legend, did exactly the same. And what's incredible about them is how easily they fit into each other's playing. And if you watch the film $1 Billion Babies, about their time with Alice Cooper, they're interviewed together, and they both say that they didn't really say, well, you know, you start a third higher than me, or you start a third lower than me. And that's generally how harmonies are put together. You know, one guy just goes, and the next guy goes. So you're two notes or a third apart, and the harmonies work. It seems to be that it was far more organic between those two. Anyway, there was one more component in their sound, and that was an MXR phaser, which I don't have. I've got this. This is a Boss PH2 phaser, and I've got it set for quite a lot of swish. Now, if anyone's wondering what a phaser does, it does this. It will turn that sound into this. And it makes it very ethereal. So, song starts, Lou starts singing, and they play these two chords, C and B flat. A full C chord, and then Dick plays through the chord, then a B flat, and this goes on for a while, and it's building up slightly to the point where Dick plays this. And it's a very elegant, moody line. It's C to G to C. It's F to G to C, sorry. They then both start to play a little bit more intensely. So it goes from to this. And it gets to the point where Lou sings, and I think that I just don't know. And they play this incredible volley of harmony guitar, and it goes like this. And Dick plays. And Steve plays. Now you may notice the last note that I played there in that sequence is an A note. It's a G bent up to the A. And how you know you've got your phaser set right is if the vibrato in the guitar, which would be this, matches the swish on the pedal. And if you can synchronise them together, you should have the sound pretty much. And it should sound like this. it fades back and it goes into the next section. If anybody wants to know Dick's solo in that, give me a shout and I'll certainly do that. Or Lady Day, or pretty much any of the rest of them. The next track is called How Do You Think It Feels, which is absolutely incredible. It's the one that goes... If you want to know the solos to that, just give me a shout. I'll work my way through all this. Anyway, if we're going to be confined to barracks for much longer. So that was the intro to Heroin. I hope that's been helpful. I hope it's fun to play. I'm very much a believer in you don't need the equipment that's exactly the same. You don't need the £5,500 Paul Kossoff signature to sound like free. It's kind of all in the hands, you know. The phaser is certainly useful for this one, but most times you can play anything on anything. You know, it's really all down to the notes, how much juice you use with that hand, and how hard you pick with this hand. Now, at the start of the first video, I duplicated the sound of a string being detuned, and what I did was this. Like that. Now what you hear before Heroin is this. Now this absolutely kills me, because this was before the days of going to a concert and a band would have a line of guitars and a roadie to come running on to just whip it round your neck if you broke a string or if there's some technical malfunction. What that means, that E note going down to D, is they've tuned to a drop D tuning on the bounce in between the songs, which is absolutely incredible. And you can hear the low E go down to D. But the thing is, that song, Heroin, is not in a drop D tuning, and for ages I used to think, how can they get that C note? Because, like, it's down there somewhere. If your low E is now D, C is like, about 20 yards away from me. And I think the answer is that the songs are out of sequence, because, album programmers really don't tend to care for that stuff too much. Case in point being the UFO album, Strangers in the Night. Now, when you buy Strangers in the Night on CD, if you've had it on vinyl for 20 years, when you put it on, you expect to hear Let It Roll. But when they brought out the CD, it starts with Natural Thing and Cherry, which are both great songs, but it kind of throws you a bit. And I think that drop D tuning is perhaps for Oh Jim, which isn't even on that album. It's on Lou Reed Live. So that's just one little interesting point, or rather it interests me. So I hope that was interesting and beneficial to anyone who wants to play that one.